Hey, welcome back. Um, so this was the first image I saw in Japan. This was outside of my hotel window. Uh, Pine trees and bamboo trees. Really just very pretty. Um, Kind of a skyline from the bus. This is on the second day that I went out to the mall to take a look at a few things. Um, yeah, the typhoon was hitting the southern portion of Japan, causing major flooding. It was pretty bad. But it never really like we had rain, as you'll see in this video. But it was never so bad out there that I don't know. It wasn't too bad. Um, it made for nice days. It was very humid and a lot more humid and warm than I expected Japan to be, considering it's on the same parallel. I don't know if that was because of the storm or if that was because that's just how it is during that time of the year, which could be because that was the monsoon season. Um, I don't know. At any rate, I wanted to go back and kind of reflect and talk about some of the things that I don't know that I've been thinking about regarding flying and doing the type of stuff that I'd been doing, which was basically how really unprepared I was for the whole travel thing. Really, it's a measure of um, just going out on a plane. I wasn't thinking. I wore clothes like I normally would, expecting it might be cool or cold on the airplane. Don't know why. Just was thinking that. And it wasn't it wasn't overly warm, it wasn't overly cold, it was just fine. And I would watched a few other people come in with basically what looked like pajamas. And at first I thought, well, that's kind of, I would not have expected that. And then the longer that I was in the flight, which of course it's a 13-hour flight to cross the Pacific, and that's on the short end of the scale, um, I quickly realized pajamas would be ideal because they would be the most comfortable thing to have to sit in for X number of hours, dealing with, just doing not much of anything. Sleeping, if you can get some sleep, definitely would say that that's 100% a thing to do. I bought one of those little neck pillows. That was great because I made the mistake of not having one of the pieces that were necessary for me to use my BiPAP during the flight. So that was kind of a pain. Luckily, I did have it. I just didn't have it with the rest of the stuff. It was an extra piece. So, at any rate, um, the neck pillow did help, and I was able to get some sleep during the flight. Uh, I think just kind of looking at this now and watching it play out as this bus is going through, the thing that struck me the most, this area, was just it was a mixture of incredibly green, like the amount of dense forestry that's still it's almost as if the the city is trying to poke its way through all of this forestry, um, and the forestry keeps trying to reclaim it. And I don't know if it was an intentional build, the what they did, but there's the best way I can put it. It's like this never-ending creeping kudzu of foliage and just bamboo trees, like endless bamboo trees across the area. It really, it's one of those things where it was like out of a dream seeing some of these places, and I can really understand now how easily it would be for the people who, especially like for example Miyazaki, who's a an anime filmmaker. I can see how and why he would have been inspired to do all the different things, all the different stories that he's done, and he's had some remarkable stories. Um, it's easy to see it. It's easy to become inspired in a place like this. It's really quite beautiful in a very, I don't really know how to explain it, but kind of haunting sort of way. Um, Obviously, when you get into the city itself, it's less so, and it has become more um, form and function determined by man. Um, it feels like there's definite cutoffs, and you can see that in this video as we go forward. But I look at it and I just remember feeling in awe of a lot of it. And in the areas where the city is, it's goes back to I think something that I'd mentioned before, which was um, the Japanese are very friendly. Make no mistake about it. Um, but at the same time, there is an undeniable sense that you are you're a foreigner, and maybe that's just me. But that was the sense that I got. Um, it wasn't looks necessarily, though. I mean, occasionally I would get a look from someone, but usually that's not the case. Mostly because in the culture it's just not considered polite to stare. So, as much as I wanted to look around at everything and everyone, I knew that that type of behavior wouldn't necessarily be acceptable, or it would just be another example of rude foreign behavior. Um, Direct eye contact is not something that is appreciated there. Yeah. This particular day it downpoured, so I ended up turning off the camera after a little bit. And then after the rain stopped, I was able to, I don't know, we went through a different area. You'll see here in a moment once this particular piece stops. But it went from when I could finally turn it back on where you can kind of see things again. This is semi residential, I think. I know a lot of these houses are amazing to look at. They're really beautiful, and you'll see like sculpted lawns and trees. Um, Again, there's not a lot of space, but it seems like they use the space to display things a certain way as much as they can. It's really it's really quite impressive. Um, Most of these little yards, and they were very small. Almost all of them had carefully maintained bushes or a tree or a few trees. Um, so there was definitely something to appreciate there. Yeah, so my time in Japan was actually enjoyable. If at the same time I had troubles because of the language barrier. Um, it's definitely not something that is designed for Americans. If you don't speak the language and don't have a means of translating, it can be rather daunting. Um, there are some things in English, but not many. So I don't know. I had fun though. It was a really cool place. There were a lot of neat things to see. Um, I could only stomach the mall for about an hour the second time around. Mostly, I went there in the endless search for coffee, um, which is a weird thing because, yeah, we'll get to that in one of the later videos. Um, but I wanted to get this out, kind of show you around a part of Chiba Prefect, Narita, which is where the main airport is. And this is on the way to the mall, the Ion Mall. Again, there's a Aflac, something familiar. And then, of course, you go 10 more feet and nothing's familiar. But they had regular scheduled buses that went out to this place, so that was really very convenient. So, hope you enjoyed this one. Um, Next up, we're going to the Philippines. And let me tell you, it's not what I expected.